Hi everybody.
Hi everyone. Good morning. Good morning. If you can see, can hear us, just me and Z here today. Just type a good morning in chat GM in short. And so we know that everything is working fine.
Okay, I think we have quite a number of people coming in already. Hi, morning, Vincent. I think Kim might have already been typing in the stocks. Morning, guys. Thank you for being early here today. Hi, Andy. Good to see you here again. Hi, Stephen. Hi, John. Nice to have you guys here with us this morning. Hello, Miffy. Nice to see you again. Right, okay. I think some of you guys have also already been typing the stocks here. Very good. Okay. So today we will actually be focusing on the Singapore market, right? So if you guys are new here or you are probably just scrolling on Facebook or on YouTube and you happen to chance across this live, right? Yeah, we are actually here every Friday morning, 10:30 a.m. to actually cover stocks that you guys actually request in the chat, right? And we'll actually alternate between Singapore and the US market every Friday. So remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button to Joey's YouTube channel, right? So whenever we go live, you guys will actually be notified. Then you can also help us to give us a like and a share, and also can help us to press the heart shape button right over here to give us some hearts, right? So that this live can actually reach out to more people. Okay, so the thing, as you can see here, for this morning we have Bervyn and myself here today. Joey is currently still on a short holiday, but the thing is that he has also recorded a video for you guys. So let me just play this video for you guys very quickly right now.
Hey guys, Joey here. Sorry I can't join you in today's AMES Singapore stock. My team will going to share your stocks and two new stocks at the end. We're now currently in Ganchong Railway in Korea. Fun. Say hi guys. Bye bye. I'll see you guys.
Right, so there's a very cute video by Joey and also his kids. I believe they are currently still in Korea, but they'll be back very soon, right? And Joey will be back to join us next week for the US live session. Okay, so before we begin, I will just do a very quick overview, right, of what we'll be actually doing today. So at the very start, Bervyn will actually kick off with the market outlook, right, by looking at what's actually happening in the market, a little bit about like the US market and how the Singapore market is actually looking like based on the STI index. Then subsequently, we will actually cover the stocks, right, that you guys want or you guys actually request in the chat, right? But when you guys actually do that, maybe you can let us know a little bit of context, right? Like don't just say the stock name, right? Maybe you can actually say a bit of context, like in terms of whether you are thinking of buying, you are thinking of holding, what's the price that you bought, so that we can actually give you a bit more personalized and customized, analysis, right? And last but not least, remember to stay all the way until the end, because Bervyn and myself will actually share two bonus stock today at the end that we actually personally like, right? And maybe those are the stocks that you might be thinking of putting into your watch list. Okay, so for those of you who are new here, just now the video that you have seen is actually Joey, right? So let me just introduce Joey for a little bit. Okay, so Joey is actually a top tier broker, trader, reminds you in Philip Security, and he has been in this industry for over 10 years now, right? Whereby stocks and technical analysis, right, whereby looking at charts, it's actually his forte, right? So mainly we look at Singapore market, US market, and a little bit of Hong Kong market, right? So the thing is that Joey actually conducts training programs for his one good trend framework and strategy, whereby if you are keen to find out more about this one good trend strategy, right, feel free to sign up for the webinar. I believe Bervyn will help me to paste the link in the chat. And the thing is that for our Ask Me Any Stocks every Friday, right, we actually don't have time to cover the strategy because we are doing a rapid quick fire stock analysis. We try to cover as many stocks as possible that you guys request, so we don't have time to cover the strategy. But feel free to actually attend the free webinar that the link Bervyn has just posted in the chat. Okay, so then let's move on to the introduction about Bervyn and myself. All right. So Bervyn and myself, we actually work alongside with Joey for close to 5 years now, and we actually lead his group coaching sessions, right? We also help to conduct his one-on-one sessions for all his mentors, right, as part of the mentorship program. And we do also help to assist our team's portfolio manager with the managed account service. So as you can see, both of us are actually chartered holders in different areas, right? Bervyn is a CFA chartered holder, while I'm actually a CMT chartered holder. So both of us are good in different areas, right? And I think that is actually good as well, because it actually complements each other, while at the same time we actually add value to Joey's client. Okay, so maybe Bervyn, you would like to say a few words?
Hey, thanks Z for the introduction. Hi, good morning everybody. It's Bervyn here. Nice to see all those familiar names, joining us week over week, on every Friday morning, taking the time out. So just a little bit about myself, like Z have said, I'm a chartered financial analyst, charter holder lah. So what does that mean? It just means that I spend a lot of time actually looking at companies, fundamentals, the overall economic state, and how it affects individual companies. All right. So apart from that, I think at the side, just I enjoy like running. All right, I do a lot of running. I'm intending to join a few races as well. So I believe running is a little bit like trading. It's just you have to put in the work consistently. You have to be consistent, you have to be disciplined, you have to follow a plan, to get to where you are. All right, so without further ado, I think I'll let Z introduce herself a little bit more before we kickstart today's AMAS session. All right, Z?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so complementing to what Bervyn actually does in terms of looking at the economic state, right? For me, I look a lot more into charts itself, technical analysis, looking at charts, right? Basically, so in short, CMT, what it means is just that I look at chart a lot during my spare time, lah. All right. So without further ado, right, in terms of the one good trend strategy, right, later on we'll actually share more and show you guys, the one good trend indicator, right, the one GT Pro indicator that Joey actually developed, right. So this indicator will give you a very, very quick opinion on whether, is this stock good to be even put into your watch list? What are some signals that are showing? Is there any buy signals, sell signals? And all this you'll be able to actually see in a matter of seconds, right? Just with a click of a button. But the thing is that today, right over here, do remember to actually do your due diligence, right? Because this is the standard disclaimer that we actually have to say. The thing is that we are not asking you to buy, not to buy. It's mainly for educational purposes only. Okay? And before we begin, usually, right, for the past session, I think the last session, we managed to cover 20 stocks in about 2 hours. So today we will try our best as well, to cover at least 20 Singapore stocks today. Okay, so I think without further ado, I'll pass the time over to Bervyn to actually kickstart today's session with the market updates.
All right, okay, let's go. Let me just remove this, add this to the stage. All right, let's go. Okay, so today we'll start with the S&P 500. Is that okay? If that's okay, maybe just type for me M in the chat so I can cover the S&P 500 and then I'll cover the STI just to get a good market overview or a good sensing on where the direction of the market could be heading. All right, just type M in the chat if that's okay. Right, let's see. Okay, Jason M. Okay. So Ken, Catherine, hi. All right, Vincent K. Okay. Let's go. Let's see. Okay, so right here we have the S&P 500. I think quite a little bit of economic data is coming out this week. I think ISM and then the non-farm payroll, as well as I think Donald Trump is going to be resuming talks with the Chinese government as well. So I think we are in a good state. Of course, we hope that the talks can be fruitful, lower tariffs or prolong the pause on tariffs while they discuss, and maybe specific sectors may see some tax reliefs as well. So I think that's a good start. I think at least it shows that they are willing to communicate at this time. But who knows where those stocks could be heading. So we just want to take note on a few key levels for the S&P 500, and we hope that we can go above this key level and then, or rather maintain that initial or that current bullishness or the momentum that is currently still present, I would feel, in the S&P 500 on the US market. So just a glance, all right, in just a glance, since the start of 2025, the market had approached a new high, approaching that 6,200 level. Didn't quite manage to actually touch that 6,200 level before it started to sell down during Trump's inauguration, and in the early of April, actually those tariffs that actually kicking start that trade war, the reciprocal tariffs kicking in for many countries, actually saw that most markets have actually sold down. But if you notice, most markets have sort of rebounded very, very quickly, or found some stabilization, found some buyers coming in to prop the market up. All right, prop the market up. And past those key levels, that 5,500 level for the S&P 500. All right, actually giving way again, being respected, and then pushing above that 5,800 level, which is the immediate support. So just notice a little bit of a sign here that 100 days moving average, that 200 days moving average, and even that 20 days moving average is rather close to this 5,800 level. That is a good sign that this level could be potentially a very, very good key support. Alongside that, previously it was a support, all right, turned into a resistance again, and then now it has turned back into a support. All right, so I think buyers are rather keen to get in onto the S&P 500. So for those of you who do not know, you're actually able to take a position on the S&P 500 via the ETFs such as the SPY and then the VOO at the same time. All right, so I think as of last night, we saw a little bit of a retracement coming in, nothing too alarming. Normal retracement after prices had pushed up for about 3 to 4 days straight. Okay, so I think as of now, we are still holding above that 5,800 level with that 1 GT bullish indicator still in place. All right, so what is this 1 GT bullish indicator that we're actually talking about? This 1 GT bullish indicator actually gives us a quick overview or a quick opinion. So if you have this 1 GT pro indicator, what you got to do is just turn off and turn on these signals on the chart just to get a quick opinion on where the general direction, all right, general direction of the market could be heading. Any signs of near-term strength, near-term weaknesses. If there is near-term weaknesses, tend to see this 1 GT bearish signal, the red one, coming in. So I think this is a very, very good indicator to actually give you a good overview of where the market is heading, that Joey have actually spent a few years refining, improving, developing, just to make sure that all of his clients, or some of his clients and some of his mentees, get to get a quick opinion as well. All right, so the upside, okay, coming back to the S&P 500, the upside I think remains towards that 6,200 levels, where at the start of 2025 prices have actually came close to. I think we still got a ways to go, to actually test the 6,200 levels. I think it's very much dependent on the economic data coming in, the FOMC, if there's any rate cut coming in June, I think that would, of course, affect the S&P 500. But I think in the nearer term, if that 6,200 level were to give way to form another key support, the upside towards 6,600, I think would be very, very possible towards the end of this year. But of course, if those trade talks fall through, of course, we have to check, or we have to see if that 5,800 level is able to give way, or does it give way as well. All right, the next thing, or the last thing we want to watch out for, is if the uptrend, the longer term uptrend, could resume. As of now, that 100 days moving average is just below. Right, it's below, it's not above that 200 days moving average just yet. We want to see, both these lines, starting to point up, cross over each other, and then I would say then the longer term uptrend could resume towards that 6,200 level. All right, so the last thing before I move on to the STI would be just to turn on this trailing support and resistance. That is actually part of the 1 GT Pro indicator. As of right now, we have a trailing support right here, just below that 5,800 level. What is this trailing support about? This trailing support has taken into account, all right, the volatility of the index, the stock, any asset class that is actually being listed on TradingView. All right, so it shows how much volatility is present in that particular index. We want the prices or the index levels to be above this trailing support as prices move up. If prices were to break down below this trailing support, that would be a sign, right? A sign of weakness that could be present in the market as of now. But as of right now, we still see that it is still holding very much above that 5,800 level, that above that trailing support, giving this index, or meaning to say this index has some space to breathe, to move up and down, perhaps consolidating just between the 5,800 to the 6,200 level as of now. All right, so that is for the S&P 500. Now I'll move on to just very quickly talk about the STI before we dive into those stocks that I see that a lot of people are asking about those stocks that they are potentially holding, looking to get in for the Singapore market. All right, right here we have the STI index, is Straits Times index. Okay, so just let me very quickly just turn on and off that 1GT buy and sell signals. You see right here on the 22nd of April or 21st of April, we have this 1GT, it was the 17th of April, we have that 1GT bullish signal for the STI index actually coming in as prices very quickly pushed higher and retook that 3,800 key level. Ever since then, I think since late of April, we have pretty much been kept above this 3,800 level, which is a good sign. All right, a good sign that buyers are back. Buyers are consistently and steadily pushing the index back up towards that key 4,000 level. I think there was quite a bit of speculation going on. That the 4,000 level could be a level where that we could be meet with a little bit of profit taking or a little bit of resistance before pushing higher. I think this 4,000 level is an all-time high. So all-time high for the STI. So likewise, similarly to the S&P 500, you want to be a little bit cautious or a little bit more particular about these key levels. Why? Because it is also a psychological level. All right, those round numbers, 3,800, 4,000, 5,000, these are the key levels you want to watch out for, because you tend to see buyers coming in if there is a support and sellers coming in when it is a resistance. Right, so just doing a simple projection from the 3,800 level to the 4,000 level, just bringing it up. We'll say if that 4,000 level gives way, 4,200 would be the next upside target. I would draw to signalize that that could be a new phase for the STI. The constituent stocks in the STI are more likely to be bullish than bearish if this 4,000 level gives way. I think the momentum is still present a bit. It's a bit slower, but I think it's a good sign that it's a stable. It's a stable increase, not like a quick, very, very swift breakthrough above those key levels. It's like a step up. So these are the kind of confirmations that we would like to have for the index or even for any particular stock. So with that 20 days moving average, I would say still pointing up at this point. I think the STI is up slightly this morning as of market open. I think we can continue monitoring for the next few weeks. I'm not too sure if it will take like maybe 1 month, 2 months to actually break above this 4,000 level. But I think I would say that as long as that 3,800 level is being respected, I think it is still worth monitoring or still worth watching the STI as a general sense. All right. Okay. So that is a very, very quick one, I would say, for the Straits Times index. All right. So before we dive into the stocks that you guys are actually asking for in the chat, I think I would just like to take a little bit of time to see that if there's any questions. I think some of you were asking about US stocks. I think Tony was just asking about AVGO. I'm sorry, Tony. This week we're actually covering the Singapore market. All right. I understand that maybe AVGO have just announced their earnings and you're thinking if you should get in, but fortunately we don't have time today to cover the US market as well. So maybe come join us next week. Next Friday we will cover the US market where you can ask about those US stocks. All right. Okay. So for those of you who have typed your counters in the chat, maybe I'll just pick one to just let us get kick started on this. Right, so maybe I will just pick on Kim Lim. I think thanks for being early. I think very, very early since yesterday actually. Yeah, we are asking about SIA Engineering. Hopefully you are here with us this morning. SIA Engineering, I think, saw very good bullish up move yesterday. All right, so let me just hop on to SIA Engineering. Okay, SIA Engineering. Okay, let me just clear up because I've actually done a little bit of analysis on this yesterday as well. As we can see from SIA Engineering. All right, prices were pretty much, just moving sideways, moving sideways since 2024, not showing much movement, a little bit boring, going as high as close to 250. Right, going as high as 250 before coming down, roughly holding above the support of this $2.20. Right, $2.20, pretty much the whole year. And of course, during that sell down, of course, it had sell down and found a support at about that 190 level as well. So I think only very, very recently, prices had pretty much moved higher. Right, move higher very swiftly and broken that 250 psychological level. That psychological level had started to give way and prices push higher. Initially I had my targets drawn about that 270 level, but it quickly gave way as well. And I think right now, I think that $3 level is the level to watch out for. It's also a psychological level. So I think in a span of since April to now, prices have risen for about 50% already. 50% already. Okay, so could there be more upside? Is always the question. If you're holding on to this counter, if you're holding on to SIA Engineering, I would say there's nothing wrong. Firstly, nothing wrong to actually take some profits, reduce a little bit of exposure, take some of those profits, put in your pocket, enjoy the weekend. Nothing wrong to do that as well. But if you are intending to continue to hold SIA Engineering and you think that there could be more upside, yes, I could potentially say that as well, because there is actually two 1GT bullish signals, indicating that the near-term momentum is still rather present at this point or that point of time, with that 20 days moving average also pointing up. So although we got that 100 days moving average just below that 200 days moving average, it looks to attempt to cross it. So symbolizing that the longer term uptrend is back in play. So definitely if that $3, let me just change this to a green line first. Definitely if that $3 psychological level were to give way, that upside, I would say, doing a simple projection right here to 330 would be, I think, a potential target for everyone as well. All right, so if you are looking to protect some of those profits, we have this trailing support and resistance line that actually trails the price as it moves higher. Right now, that trailing support is about 275, 270 level. Placing a stop limit order, right, just below that trailing support, I think would be a good level or a good play to actually protect some of those profits, just in case we see profit taking push prices back down to that 270 level, which is possible. Why? Because do we see much consolidation? No, we don't. We don't see much consolidation as prices push higher. So we tend to want to be a little bit more careful, where if we see profit taking coming, it could push prices back down very, very quickly as well. Okay, so that is a very quick one, I would say, for SIA Engineering. So far, so good. Let's continue to see if that we can get that final confirmation coming in of that 100 days moving average crossing above that 200 days moving average, prices crossing that $3 level. Maybe we'll have another 1GT bullish signal coming in, and the upside towards 330 would be possible then. All right, okay, so I'll pass the time now back to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think I've just shared my screen. Okay, so I think the stock that I'll be doing for the first stock today will be by Mifi, right? Mifi is asking about 5TP. The stock code is 5TP, and this is CNMC Goldmine. So I believe this is one of those stocks that perhaps you would look at if you want some gold exposure and you don't want to touch the US market, right? This is one of the stocks in the Singapore market that will provide you some gold exposure, right? So Mifi, you were saying that you bought at about 3.36. I would assume it's 0.336 lah, okay? Because it's about 30 over cents, right? Over here, price now trading about 44 cents, okay? And you're thinking whether should you sell or should you hold, right? Okay, so first thing first, when we take a look at this chart, the trend, long-term uptrend still looks great. Red and the blue line is pointing up, which is always the first thing that we always look at, right? And in terms of the shorter term trend, the green line right over here, which represents the 20 days moving average, it's not too bad, right? It's not too bad. It has been rising since April all the way, but somewhere in early middle of May right over here, we do see some weakness returning, right? And right now it is starting to slope back up gently again. And in terms of the immediate support that we are looking at, right, definitely right over here at the 40 cents, that is one psychological immediate support, right, that we are looking at. Because why? Somewhere in this period, right, April to May, where price actually retraced back, right, this was the level that it was testing, right, at the 40 cents. And this is where the buyers came in to support the prices. So at 40 cents, it's very clear that this is one of the immediate support to take note. And in terms of resistance wise, I would say you see right over here, right, this 48 cents, right, this is where prices neared it somewhere in middle of April, right over here. As prices near this 48 cents, this is where selling pressure came back in to push the price back down. So immediate resistance 48 cents, immediate support at 40 cents, right? And if you have bought at 0.336, right, definitely you'll be sitting on some profits already, because price now is at 44 cents, right? And the question is whether should you continue to hold, or you're thinking about selling to take some profits, right? Okay, so as we have already established, right, that the resistance is at the 48 cents, this is where you can actually set some price alert as well, because when you want to think about selling, we want to sell near a resistance, in the resistance zone. So I would say this level right over here would be the resistance zone that perhaps you can set some price alerts, right, to alert you to take a look at the chart again when prices indeed have reached that level, right? That's one. And if you decide to actually take some profits near the resistance, like what Bervyn said earlier, there's nothing wrong to take profits near the resistance, because at this point in time, I do not know what is your trading plan when you first enter into a stock. But the thing is that before you even buy into a stock, right, you should already have your trading plan in place, and that would also consist of your target price, right? Your target price. So I'm not too sure if you have set your target price here or maybe up further. I'm not too sure, right? But if you do have a trading plan in place, you can follow your trading plan. Okay, and the next thing is, this is the part where you can potentially think about selling some positions, right, while continue to ride the uptrend. Why? Because the longer term uptrend is actually still intact, and prices is actually still holding above the 40 cents. And some people, they might be asking, but then maybe I don't want to sell for near 48 cents. Maybe I want to let the stock to continue to ride the uptrend, right, and to maximize my profits. And you can actually do that as well. Nothing wrong. And one way that you can do it, right, with this 1GT Pro indicator is that we can actually turn on this thing called the trailing support and resistance function. So I believe Bervyn has turned it on earlier just now. And to recap, this trailing support and resistance function that you see here, the green and the red shaded line, right, this is actually can be turned on easily with a click of a button right over here. And this actually shows you where the trailing support and resistance is. So basically what this means is that if prices right over here, as you can see, if prices goes up, the trailing support will follow the prices as it goes up, right? And that's the reason why it's called a trailing support. It is dynamic, right? It moves along with the prices as it goes up. But at the same time, it actually accounts for the stock volatility, giving it space for the stock to actually breathe, right? So when I turn on this trailing support, right over here, you can see that this trailing support at this point in time, it is slightly somewhere about this 39 cents, right? 39 cents. So what you want to do, or what you can consider doing as well, is to actually set a stop limit order slightly below the trailing support, right? And as the price continues to move up, do you think the trailing support will move up? Yes, because like what I said, price move up, trailing support will trail the prices and continue to move up. And that is where you can then consider to continue to shift your stop limit order upward to then maximize your profits. So that is one way to go about doing this as well. And that's one way how you can effectively use this 1GT Pro indicator, especially this very useful trailing and support function. Okay, so these are some of the levels that perhaps maybe you might want to take note, especially 40 cents, which is the horizontal support, right? This level below, slightly below the 39 cents, right? This would be where the trailing support could potentially be placed at if you are thinking about maximizing your profits. And these 48 cents would be the resistance level, and this is where you can set some alerts, if you decide to actually take some partial profits at the resistance level. Okay, so that would be for CNMC Goldmine. Back over to you, Bervyn, to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right. Okay. So let's see right here. I think Wei. Hi, Wei. Good morning. Please cover Wilmar International. Sure. Let's go. Okay. So right here on my screen, we have Wilmar International. I think one of those stocks that I think previously many people were looking at, but I think after a new phase where prices have actually sold down quite a little bit, yeah, it has come off a lot of people's radar as well. I think in just a glance first thing I noticed was actually that this right here, the moving averages, actually saw that the 100 days moving average just slightly above the 200 days moving average, but the 20 days moving average is actually pointing down. And we are in a little bit of a consolidation phase where it seems like prices had found a support, I think right around that $3 psychological level, right around that $3 psychological level. It had previously was a resistance, now turned into a support. I think the upside resistance towards that 325 to about 330 level. I think that would be where actually sellers have actually previously come in once, twice, three times already. Yep. So I think we're pretty much in that range with that lower bound. I would say about that 285 level. So I think prices have been in this range since since 2024 up to now. Not much signs of a breakout. I think there was a little bit of a strength coming in September, but I think did not hold up well as prices quickly just came back down towards that 285 level subsequently. All right, Wei, I think right now, I think I'm not too sure if you are looking to buy or to sell, but as of right now, I think perhaps you could just hold on first. Why? We want to actually have that longer term trend, the short term trend converging first, or what we call, sometimes we like to call it a confluence of factors, where we actually see that 20 days moving average start to flatten out a little bit and then maybe point up and cross above that 100 days and 200 days moving average before even considering an entry. Why? Because you don't want prices to actually break below that $3 level. You see another one GT bearish signal, then prices start to hit lower to that 285 level, and then you'll be stuck thinking whether you should be averaging down, and then the question will be or the answer will be no, I don't think you should be averaging down as well. All right, so I think in the nearer term, it feels like it is much of a more of a watch and see situation. Nothing much going on in the stock. We want to see at least a more strength coming into the counter, pushing towards that 325, breaking above that 325 first. All right, having that another 1 GT bullish signal actually coming in right before considering an entry. So if I were to just turn on that trailing support and resistance right now during a weak phase, or what we call, like, if there's weakness in the market, you tend to see that there is a trailing resistance that is actually going on, or is actually trailing the stock prices down as well. So we want to actually see prices head towards that trailing resistance, also breaking above it, heading towards that 325. Then I think the upside, all right, if we just do another projection again, upside towards that 350 level, all right, then I think that will be possible. That could be a potential reversal, all right, potential reversal for Wilmar for the long term or for the uptrend. So as of right now, I think some alerts you could set up for would be, all right, so just in case you're wondering how to set up alert, just have to right click on the chart, add an alert where I think one alert will be if prices break that $3 psychological support. One alert right there about 2.98 to just symbolize that yes, that $3 level has given way again. Or if prices break above that 325 level, so maybe about 332, 3.32 will be another level to actually watch out for, or you want to be alerted if these levels give way. Then maybe I think we can come back to actually see, yes, is there a uptrend forming, a longer term uptrend forming specifically. All right, so that is for Wilmar. I think I'll pass the time back to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, right? Because I see a couple of the comments is all about Yangzijiang. So M is asking, Yangzijiang Shipping has been sideways for many weeks. Is it poised for a breakout soon? Energized Mood, hi, nice to see you here again. He's thinking about, Yangzijiang. I assume that you're thinking about Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, okay? Because there's also Yangzijiang Financial Holdings. Then I think one of the more recent comment right over here, John is also asking about any further upside on Yangzijiang, which has moved up in the past few days. So I believe you're also talking about Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. Okay, so let's take a look at Yangzijiang Shipbuilding right over here, right? So Yangzijiang Shipbuilding from the start of 2025 all the way to where we are at, right? Start of 2025, the price still looks pretty good and the trend still looks pretty decent, right? It is only until somewhere in February, this is where we saw, 1 GT bearish signal coming out and prices went all the way back down to retest this support at this 180 level right over here. And right now price, this is live, okay? This is trading view and this is live. And the price is trading at about like $2.30 right now, right? And the thing for this is that immediate support level, right, that we are actually looking at, I would say somewhere around this $2.20. Why? Because you can see right over here, right, price has tested this level for a couple of months, and then one time right over here, right, this was where we actually see a very bullish candlestick actually happening. And if you are keen to know more about, dive a bit more into about all the framework and candlestick, right, feel free to attend one of the 1GT webinar hosted by Joey, right? Maybe Bervyn can help me put the link in the chat. And he will actually talk more about the framework, the candlesticks, and dive more into all of these strategy things. Okay, so back to this chart. All right, so 220, I mentioned 220 is one of the immediate support level right over here. That I've drawn, right? That I've drawn, because this is where we actually saw buyers actually returning. And in terms of the resistance, right? Resistance, definitely I would say is somewhere about this 260 right over here, because this is where we see this level being actually tested multiple times, right? From July all the way to December last year. So 260 would be the immediate resistance that we are actually looking at. So now you know that, we have a support, we have a resistance. And when we take a look at the trend, right, yes, we do see a 1GT bullish signal coming out on this day, right, 7th of May. But the thing is that it doesn't mean that every time we see a 1GT bullish signal, right, you don't look at a bigger picture and you straight away go and buy into a stock. No, because we always, at the end of the day, right, the first thing that we always look at is the longer term trend. We want to make sure that the longer term trend and the shorter term trend both are actually aligned and heading up in the same direction, right? So when both the short term and long term are heading up in the same direction, that will give you a higher probability of you being on the right side of the trade, right? So now if we look at the short term trend, we do have a 1GT bullish signal. The 20 days moving average seems to be all right? I mean, not that great, but decent. It goes up, went sideways. Now it started to slope up again, right? Slope up again. But if we take a look at the longer term trend, right over here, right? It is still not that fantastic, right? It's still not that ideal. Why? Because you see the red line, right? The red line, the 100 days moving average, it's actually still pointing down, right? It's actually still pointing down. What we want to see are moving averages that is like that. All three of them are actually going up, right? And then if we also have a 1GT bullish signal, that gives you another confirmation. So on top of the trend, and you have a 1GT bullish confirmation, and if price break a resistance, that is even better, right? So what we are having here, what we are seeing here now is that price, yes, I would say that it seems to be like it has broken above this 220. This 220 is supposed to be resistance, right? Previously it was a resistance right over here. It's broken above. Now it turned to become a support. We have a 1GT bullish signal, and the 20 days moving average is starting to point up. But the longer term trend, not yet, right? The longer term trend, not yet. What we want to see is, at least for the 100 days moving average, the red line, right, not to be pointing down first, at least for it to stabilize and head sideways first, right? Or even better, for it to start to show signs of it going back up. So what I'm looking for Yangzijiang at this point in time, I would want to see the longer term moving average to show signs of it pointing up. And, if prices were to actually head up and retest this 260, right, and break and hold above this 260, this is potentially where we might potentially see a upside reversal back for this counter, and more strength could be returning, especially so when the longer term and the shorter term trend all are actually aligned. Okay, so that will be a very, very quick one for Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. I'll pass the time back over to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Z. Okay, so I think quite a few people I think are asking about this Keppel Boustead. Wow, making me hungry. Boustead is asking about Keppel, and then Jing Long is also asking for Keppel. All right, I think these are one of the counters that I think many people are also watching. Just put it up onto the screen. Here we go. I think myself also am watching Keppel at the same time. I think for a longer term holding, yes, definitely. First thing first, I think yes, most people are looking to accumulate a discounter for on dips to actually hold for a longer term period, not really much for like a swing trade kind of position. A few levels actually stand out to me. I think one of the key levels at $6 was one of the level where previously buyers, it was a resistance, right, turned into a support. And we also had a 1 GT bullish signal that had appeared when prices actually broke above these $6 after that sell down in April. That longer term moving averages, right, that 100 days, 200 days moving average also showing signs of a longer term trend reversal, and that 20 days moving average is right around that 680 support area as well. This support was previously a resistance. As you can see, it had tested it a few times since 2024, pretty much been under it since for about a year, kept under it, not able to break above it until very, very recently. I think, let me just see, sometime in the late of May, it finally broke above this 680 level, with that upside, I think, being drawn to about that 760 area as of now. So I think if you're looking to accumulate, possible, but this would be a more aggressive strategy because prices had just broken above the 680 level. Not too sure if this 680 level is going to be a key support area going forward. As of right now, we have like a buy zone, maybe about 680 to about 690, where potentially, yes, you could accumulate if prices deep down towards or retrace towards that level for you to get in. But whether it will actually come down to let you get in or not, I don't know. Right? Nobody can tell you. So what you want to actually watch out for would be, I would say, a nearer term temporary resistance as well. Temporary resistance as well, right around that 720 level where potentially selling could come back in, a little bit of profit taking for those who have bought previously close to that 680 level. That could be a level where they potentially want to take some profits as well to get out as well. Okay, so if I were to just turn on that trailing support and resistance, obviously we see a trailing support going on right now as prices are heading higher and higher and higher. I think a break above that 720 could see another 1 GT bullish signal coming in, reaffirming that the longer term uptrend is intact. Even the nearer term strength is still present at this point. So I think Jing Long and Boustead, if you are looking to accumulate on the dips, that 680 level is where you want to have some alerts being set up. 680 to maybe 690 level is one of those levels that you want to actually watch out for. So if prices do not come down to that 680 level and breaks above that 720 level, you potentially want to also, you can also add an alert, not just for price, you can also add an alert for the 1 GT Pro indicator. Set a buy or sell alert, right, once per bar and just create. So if there's any new signals that is coming in for Keppel, new 1 GT bullish or bearish signal coming in, you will be alerted, and then maybe you can come in to actually monitor the trend again. But definitely still one of those stocks that is very, very popular, still one of those stocks that is also on our team's watch list. We want to actually continue to keep an eye out for it to see if prices were to be able to hit higher to that 720 level in the nearer term at least. All right, so very quick one for Keppel Corp. I pass the time back to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so since I covered Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, right, now let me cover Yangzijiang Financial, because I realize some of you guys are also asking about Yangzijiang, like Ellen, right? You're asking about Yangzijiang Financial. Hyuk, you're also asking about Yangzijiang Financial, and Chloe, you're asking about further upside from here for Yangzijiang Financial. Okay, so let's take a look at this stock. So we don't have to dispute about the long-term trend, right? Because everyone here can actually see, the long-term trend looking fantastic, right? Red and the blue line is definitely still heading up. right? But in terms of the shorter term trend, if I were to zoom in a little bit, the 20 days moving average has started to flatten out a bit, right? You can see that it has started to go up and started to flatten out and move sideways. And this actually coincides with the price movement, right? It's kind of like just hovering sideways for the past 1 or 2 weeks, right? 1 or 2 weeks. But based on this, one of the very clear support and resistance level that we can actually see right over here, support level definitely at this 60 cents, right? This is where price actually broke above. You know, price went all the way up to 76 cents. You know, selling pressure came back in. This is that 76 cents is also one of resistance, because we see that selling pressure came back in, and we see a 1 GT bearish signal coming out. Selling pressure came in, pushed prices back down. This was where buyers came in to step up again, right? Buyers came in to step up and push prices all the way back up. And somewhere in May, right, middle of May, this was where price actually once again retested these 76 cents. And of course, we do see a very recent 1 GT bullish signal right over here on the 16th of May. At this point in time, you know, there is still no 1 GT bearish signal or exit signal yet. And if you guys are actually, you know, thinking about, hey, you know, where can I potentially enter Yangzijiang, or maybe perhaps where you are thinking of selling some Yangzijiang, right? So let me cover both sides, okay? Let me cover the potentially thinking about entering first. So those of you who are thinking about entering, right, there are two ways, right? Number one is you want to look at the support level, right? The support level right over here, right? This is one of the very crucial key support level that we have mentioned, because this is where we know buyers previously came back in to support the prices. So definitely this is one level that we are actually talking about near the 60 cents. But of course now price is trading at 72 cents, right? I don't know when or whether if price will, you know, go back down for you to buy at this level, but this is one zone, right, where you can actually set some price alert to notify yourself, right? Secondly, second zone that we can look at, same thing, we turn on the trailing support function right over here. And what can we see? We can see that price definitely now is actually trading above the trailing support, right? And the trailing support is right over here at this 67 cents. So the other potential zone of entry would be near the trailing support right over here, right? Right over here, near the trailing support, right? This is where we can also set some price alert to notify you of a potential entry, right? To relook at this particular stock. I mean, of course, if you were to compare this potential zone of entry right over here at 60 cents versus this 67 cents, I would say the 67 cents, the chances of you potentially getting a position is much higher compared to 60 cents, because I'm not sure whether price will go back all the way to 60 cents, right? For you to maybe enter the stock. Those are the two zones that perhaps you can set some price alert to alert you to relook at the stock for any potential entries. All right. And in terms of resistance wise, definitely right over here, right, like I mentioned, this is one of the key resistance level whereby price actually retested this level 1 time, 2 times. And at this point in time, do I know if prices will actually break above this resistance level? No, I don't. I wouldn't know whether price will actually break above or not, right? But I do know that near the 76 cents, this is where, you know, sellers are getting ready to actually sell some of the stocks, take some profits. And for those of you who are holding on to some position, maybe for like Chloe, right? I'm not too sure if perhaps I think you might be holding on to some Yangzijiang Financial because you're asking about further upsides, right? So if you're thinking of letting go some positions right over here near the resistance, half, 1/3 of the position, that is also fine. That's also fine, right? But if prices can break and hold above this 76 cents, potential upside targets, where are we looking towards? One way we can find out about this is that we use this projection method, right? So from the support to the resistance right over here, and then we can actually project it upwards, right? So project it upwards somewhere about this 90 cents, around this level, or 92 cents, right? This level based on the projection, like so. This is where we can potentially set the next upside target level that we can look towards if prices can actually break and hold above this 76 cents. Confirm must break and hold above this 76 cents first before we can actually talk about any potential upside. Okay, so that would be a very quick one for Yangzijiang Financial. I will pass the time back over to you, Bervyn, to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Z. Okay, so let's see. I think VC is holding Centurion. What price to sell? Okay, let's see. VC. Let me just throw it up onto the screen. So firstly, I'm not too sure what price are you currently holding it at, but just based on just a glance of the stock, Right, we had a 1 GT bullish signal that actually came in April of last year. Prices went up. There's a 50% upside already. Then we had another 1 GT bullish signal that came in August of last year towards the 1 GT bearish signal. It's another 50%. All right, then we also have a few 1 GT bullish signal coming in, another 20%. And I think most recently, if you had bought in at the 1 GT bullish signal just around that corner, I think you are still sitting on another 23% upside. All right, so I'm not too sure at which phase did you actually bought the stock. But if you have bought at a very initial of last year, about a year ago, congratulations first. Okay. And sitting on a very tidy sum of profit. And how do you protect those profits? I think that is what you are thinking right now. I think the longer term trend, firstly, pointing out a longer term trend first, we have that 100 days, 200 days still pointing up very firmly since April of last year. Up to now, it is still pointing up, and that 20 days moving average also pointing up with that 125 previous $1.25 resistance previously giving way. So now it is a support level. I think prices in the last 3 days have came close to that $1.50 resistance level. Resistance level. So we could see a little bit of profit taking coming in close to this level. So if you want to also take some profits, reduce a little bit of your holdings, I think completely okay as well. But I think it is rather also okay to continue to ride the trend. Why? It is because we do not see a 1 GT bearish signal coming in just yet. So there could be potential upside if that 150 level actually gives way towards, let me just see, it's at an all-time high. So we've got to use a projection. It's going up a little bit, about the 175 level could be the next target. All right, that is still a very, very solid 17 to 18% upside from its current level. But I'm not too sure, right? We see if prices are able to, quickly, swiftly today or Monday break above this 150 level to form a new support. Hard to say, but I think if prices just consolidate below the 150 level, just a little bit of a consolidation phase before breaking up, I think that is also fine as well. That's in fact better because that will form a healthier uptrend. You want to see consolidations before heading up, consolidate before heading up, not just prices going higher and higher and higher, not forming any support. It can be quite scary if just going up higher and higher and higher and then it just falls. It can fall very quickly as well. Okay, so just turning on the trailing support and resistance right now, we see that the trailing support is right around that 135 level. So we see if you are looking to protect some of your profits, just place your stop limit orders maybe about 2% below that trailing support. I think it will do you some good as well. So just in case if prices come down, you still get out with profits at the same time. And when prices arrive at that support area again, that 125 support area again, then you can consider a re-entry, because nobody say that once you sell, you cannot buy back again. All right. So I think that is one way that you can secure your profits. You want to preserve your capital at the same time. And if for those of you who are looking at Centurion thinking, hey, is it too high? Is it too high to buy? I think it is okay as long as you trade with the trend, right? The trend is your friend. You don't want to trade against the trend. You want to follow the trend. If the longer term trend is still heading up, the shorter term price action still indicate bullishness, a break above that 150 level to form a new support level, I think that is another entry as well. All right, and then the upside towards that 175 level. So I think one more thing to actually just watch out for, right? If we have any 1 GT bullish signals coming in, additional new 1 GT bullish signals coming in above that 150 level, I think there's a further confirmation. But so far, I think VC so far looking good. Prices are heading higher. The momentum is still there. You have the opportunity to actually protect some of your profits by using stop limit orders to continue to also ride the trend. Right, so that is for Centurion. Hopefully it clears it up a bit for you. Pass the time back to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think probably I'll kickstart the bank because I think I saw quite a number of you guys were asking about bank, right? DBS, OCBC, and UOB. And maybe I'll start off with DBS first, right? Okay, so I saw this comment by Joshing. Joshing, you are saying that you actually hold DBS, OCBC for many years, and then you sold out some over the years, but it's actually still going up. Currently, the price is flat. Should you sell? Should you buy? Should you hold? What stop loss should you put? Okay, so let's take a look at this stock. Okay, so if you have been holding on to DBS, OCBC for many years, I would say along the way you probably I also seeing on quite a number of quite a large profits already, like you have bought very long ago, right? Very long ago. And probably you have also been collecting dividends, right? Dividends along the way. So along the way, if you mentioned that you actually take some profits, right? There is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong to take profits near a resistance, take partial profits and continue to ride the uptrend. And at this point in time, probably you're still holding on to some and you're thinking about, hey, whether should I continue to take profits or not. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at where the levels are and as well as the trend. Okay. So in terms for DBS, right? For DBS right now, if we take a look at the longer term trend, right? The blue line is actually still pointing up. So just a recap, blue line is the 200 days moving average, okay? Red line is the 100 days moving average. So red line is kind of like going flat, right? But green line, we do see short-term strength, right? Green line definitely pointing up, right? And at this point in time, price is trading at about what, 44.98, right? 44.98. And this is actually very, very close to, I would say, the immediate resistance right over here, right? About maybe 45.50, 45.60, maybe even 46, right? Close to this level right over here, right? Because this was where back in, February and April, this was where price actually hit an all-time high, right? And this was where we also see this is where sellers came in to take profits because probably people like yourself, whereby you have been holding on, to the stock for very long, while prices reach, all-time high. This is where some of them might want to take profits as well. So I would not be surprised, right? Over the next couple of days, prices will be testing this 45.50 to 45.60, this level right over here. And if sellers were to come back in to take profits, and prices were to retrace a little bit, I would not be surprised, right? Because this level currently it is the resistance level. But if you're thinking of taking some profits at this level as well, there is nothing wrong, right? There is nothing wrong, because definitely this is one of the resistance zone that we are actually talking about. Okay, we are talking about. And okay, so if prices can actually break and hold above this level, right, this resistance level, what is the potential upside targets, right? The next target level that we are actually looking at. So one way we can actually do this, same thing like what I did earlier, is we can actually do a projection upwards, right? So somewhere near, you see 49 to about maybe even 50, right? Because 50 is a psychological resistance level, right? So somewhere even 50, this could be the next potential upside target if prices can break and hold above the 45.50 level. Okay. And if you are thinking about, stop loss, where should you place your stop loss? This is one way where we can actually, same thing, use the trailing support function. And if I have to turn it on, currently trailing support is at around this 43 level, right? 43.30 cents, around this level. So perhaps if you are thinking about placing a stop loss, you can use the trailing support function as a guide, right? About maybe 2 to 3%, slightly below the trailing support, to protect your profits while you continue to ride the uptrend. And if prices continue to head up, right, and break this 45.50, I would think that the red line, right, which is the 200 days moving average, will also start to see some signs of it pointing up and sloping up even more, right? And the trailing support will also continue to follow the prices up, whereby this is where you then can shift your stop loss order upwards to protect even more profits as well as your capital. Okay, so this would be the levels that perhaps you might want to take note of for DBS. And the other thing I just want to highlight as well, right, is that we can also set an alert. So apart from setting price alert, I believe most of you guys here would know how to set a price alert, right? You can also right click to set an alert, right, to alert you about the buy and sell signal. So I changed the price to one good trend and change this to buy or sell. I want to be alerted for both buy and sell, right? And once per bar and create. So when this actually happens, when the chart actually have another 1 GT bullish or bearish signal, I will be alerted and I can relook at this chart again. Because the thing is that a lot of times, people are thinking about selling, right? Thinking about selling, thinking about taking profits. But for DBS counters, like good blue chip counters like this, right? If you are in no rush to actually take profits and you are thinking for this to be your longer term holdings, there is nothing wrong for you to actually buy when prices actually break above a resistance, and that resistance actually turn to become a very firm new higher support. Because remember, we always want to buy near a support, right? So when prices is actually near a new higher support, that is where you can also consider to increase exposure, increase some position, especially for those who are thinking about holding it long term. Okay, so that will be a quick one for DBS. I'll pass the time back over to Bervyn.
Thanks, Z. Okay, so since you have covered DBS, I feel obligated to cover OCBC. Okay, so here we go. I think OCBC, I think maybe even UOB, they are moving in a very similar fashion lah. So prices have been pretty much been flat for about a month or so already. Nothing much, nothing exciting, I would say, going on. But I think for OCBC, we are coming close. Right, we are coming close, very similar to DBS, to the $17 resistance level. I think briefly, sometime in February earlier this year, prices had broken above that $17 level, that new high. But I think subsequently, a little bit of weakness came in. We saw a 1 GT bearish signal, prices sold down, tried to push back up towards that $17 level, was not able to, and then proceeded to sell down to that $14 level. But it quickly recovered, I would say. I think the banks shown a lot of resilience. It quickly recovered to above those key levels. So I think right now, I would say that psychological support level for OCBC would be at that $16 level. So we are very close. I think there are a little bit of people thinking of accumulating on these dips, which I guess is okay also. But you can expect a continued consolidation. Why? We got that 100 days and 200 days moving average pretty much quite flat. I would say quite flat at this point, not showing much signs, but the longer term 200 days moving average is still pointing upwards. So I think that upside towards that $17 still possible, but I think a lot of people are actually watching out for if that $17 finally gives way again. If the upside can be drawn to the $18 level first. Okay, so I think you want to be a little bit more careful. Why? It is because if this level, this $16 level is not being respected, if it breaks down, the downside towards the $15 level is possible as well. So I think not just caring about your upside, you got to care about your downside as well. But as of right now, all right, as of right now, no signs of it breaking yet, and we also have a 1 GT bullish signal coming in. All right, so you can use that trailing support to actually protect some of your profits. For those of you who are not intending to hold it for a longer term period, that trailing support I think would be a very good level for you to actually just take note of. If prices break below that, maybe about a 1560 to maybe 1550 level, maybe it's time to just get out first, take a back seat, watch as if prices approach that $15 level for you to get back in again. Okay, so I think for OCBC and DBS, pretty much same movements, not much differing, I think, but you just have to watch out for on dividend X days, because sometimes special dividends coming out from the banks can be quite big. So the adjustment downwards on the price is normal, usually adjust by the share, the dividend amount. All right, so there's just one side note to just take note of. Alerts can be set above the $17 for sure. You just let yourself know that prices are in a new phase, or OCBC is back to that all-time high phase. Or if that $15 or the $16 level is broken, you want to set alert, get ready to maybe set some stop limit orders to get out as well. Okay, so then that is for OCBC. Maybe I'll pass the time back to Z.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, since you cover OCBC, right, then I cover DBS. Okay, then I will cover UOB. Okay, so we cover all of the three banks in Singapore. All right. So before I dive into UOB, right, I just wanted to do a recap of what we have covered already, because I saw some of you guys are actually asking some of the stocks that I think Bervyn and myself have covered earlier on, but not to worry, because after this live show, right, this recording will actually be available on YouTube for you to actually take a look at the replay as well. Okay, so let me just do a very quick recap of what we have done. So Bervyn, right at the start, right, he actually did a market update, right, about the SPX, the US market, and then the Singapore market using the STI, right, the Straits Times Index. And the first stock that Bervyn actually did today was SIA Engineering, right, followed by CNMC Goldmine and Wilmar, then Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, Keppel, Yangzijiang Financial Holding, then Centurion, DBS, and Bervyn just covered OCBC, right? And right now I'll be covering UOB, and this would be the number 10 stock for today. So hopefully after this stock, right, me and Bervyn will actually try to go a little bit faster, right, so that we can cover more stocks, because I saw there's a lot more stocks coming from you guys, right, in the comments. So we'll try to cover at least 20 stocks today, and then after that we will actually review our bonus stock at the end of the session. Okay, so let me dive right into UOB right now. Okay, so like what Bervyn mentioned earlier on, right, because Singapore, there's only these three banks, right, DBS, OCBC, and UOB, and most of the time the trajectory will be rather similar to one another, right, but it's just more so of the price point, right, because some of you guys might say, hey, DBS is a bit expensive, because DBS is at $40 over, but whereas UOB is at only about like $30 over, right? So, but the levels, these are where we should take note of the levels, because the levels could be slightly different for each of the stock, depending on where the buyers and sellers are actually coming in to support the prices. Okay, so for UOB, let's take a look. For UOB, right, one of the levels, right, that we definitely want to be taking note of would be right over here, right, this 34, right, this 34, as you can see, this level right over here, right, it was where prices actually broke above. We have a 2-1 GT bullish signal, and prices held above this level all the way until April, right, before on this days, right, in early April, whereby the tariffs actually started and it actually shook the market, right. A lot of the stocks actually did based off the Trump's tariff, and things like that. So on the 1st of April, I believe that a lot of stocks in the Singapore market was not spared as well. So this was where you see prices dip right below this 34 level, and subsequently prices very fast, it regained this 34 as well, and now it is still holding above this 34. I would say for UOB, right, one of the key support level that perhaps you might want to take note of this level would be at this 34 right over here, right, to set some alerts as well. Okay, and in terms of resistance wise, the key resistance, I would say definitely it will be somewhere near this 38 level, right, because this was where prices reached an all-time high somewhere in February, right, right over here, before selling pressure comebacks in, profit taking happen, and we actually see subsequent 1GT bearish signals coming out. So the last 1GT bullish signal that we actually witnessed, right, is actually on this day, which is 23rd of April, right, 23rd of April. But at this point in time, there isn't any 1GT bearish signal yet lah, right? Then for those of you who are perhaps thinking about, where should I actually enter UOB, right? So one of the levels that perhaps we can actually take note of would be around this level, right? Around this support level, which is the support zone, right? So this would be one of the levels or zones that we can potentially position ourselves for entry by setting some alerts. Because if I were to turn on this thing called the trading support, right, and we can see, the trading support right now is actually also heading sideways, and it's very, very near this 34 level, right? So I would say this would be one of the potential zones of entry we could potentially be looking at to set some price alert if prices were to actually retrace back to this level to actually accumulate on the dips. All right, and for those of you guys who are actually holding on to the position, thinking of taking some profits, where can we potentially look at? Definitely it will be around this level right over here, near the resistance at the 38, right? So this would be the sell zone that we are actually looking at. So of course, some of you guys are also asking about the potentials, right? The next levels that we are actually looking at as well. So the next level that we are looking at will be around this 42. So how did I get this 42? Very easy. It is based on the projection upwards from the resistance. So if prices, if able to break and hold above this 38, right, which is the resistance that we've mentioned, potential upside targets that we are looking at would be towards 42. Okay, so I hope that helps for UOB. So we have covered all three bank stocks. I'll pass the time back over to Bervyn to probably cover a new stocks.
All right, thanks Z. Okay, so okay, let's shift away from the banks. Okay, so I think Esther right here is asking, can you advise on Food Empire, Yangzijiang Zee covered Yangzijiang Genting Singapore based on the 1 GT system good to hold? Okay, so maybe I'll cover Food Empire for you, Esther. Okay, so I think Food Empire has been on the team's watch list for a while now. It has been, I think some of those clients have also been receiving, daily or not so daily, regular updates on Food Empire as well as part of Joey's WhatsApp service. All right, so I just want to check, maybe before I start on Food Empire, who are the clients here with us this morning? So who are Joey's clients in Philips Security that is actually been receiving the daily WhatsApp broadcast that Joey has been sending out? Let me just type a C in the chat so that we can actually just take note. Just get some water. Right, okay.
We have quite a lot of
All
clients.
right. Yeah, we have quite a lot of clients joining us. DCC, Jared. Wow, Jared. C and profiting. Congratulations. Great. Protect those profits. Okay, so Steven C, Gurmit C, Alan C. Great. All right. So nice to see so many of those clients joining us every Friday. All right. So for those of you who are not clients of Joey and you want to receive those WhatsApp broadcasts, sending those market updates, some stock reports, even daily WhatsApp service, or even just value added service, because you need a trading account to trade in Singapore, be it the Singapore market, US market, you currently have an account somewhere. You can also sign up to be Joey's client. Just have to click on the link to find out a little bit more. Just to take note, there's no additional cost. All right, the cost you're paying will be the same as wherever else you are trading, but you will receive those additional value added service. All right, and more, updates, some personalized service from our team as well. All right, so just click on the link, all right, in the chat. I think Z have very kindly put the link in the chat for you guys already. All right, so now I'll just start on Food Empire. Esther, and M was also asking, good uptrend for the past 2 months, thoughts on further development. I think in one glance, M and Esther, I think we can see that the resistance, the psychological resistance, is about that $2 level. Prices are inching towards it. I think yesterday pushed quite a bit, but in the general sense, it had been inching up bit by bit by bit. I think that upside, if using that first 1 GT bullish signal that appeared in February all the way to the sell date was about 25%, and then the new 1 GT signal that appeared sometime in April, late of April, up to the current point without an exit signal yet, is also 45%. Very, very good upsides. I hope you guys are sitting on some profits, right? Sitting on some profits and looking to, of course, secure them. Right, so I think sound like a broken record. First thing first, if prices arrive close to that $2 resistance level, nothing wrong to take some profits if that is your target. All right, nothing wrong to do that. But the overall trend, the longer term trend, is still looking good at this point, with the 100 days, 200 days moving average pointing up, that 20 days moving average pointing up very closely following the prices. We have that still valid 1 GT bullish signal that have actually come in. Prices broke that 160 previous resistance, forming a new support level, pushing towards that $2 level. So I think maybe you can find a little bit of a nearer term support around that 180 level. Prices has consolidated under for about a week or two before it actually push higher. So these are the phases that you actually want to watch out for, the points that you actually want to watch out for, especially when prices are rising. Those consolidation phase could be the support levels that you want to actually watch out for. If prices retrace towards that support and you want to accumulate on the dips, that could be very much possible as well. All right, but if we just do a projection again, because prices is at an all-time high, towards the upside, I think the upside target could be drawn towards that 220 level if $2 give way. All right, so for M and Esther, definitely you should try to use that trailing support line, which is right around that 170 level. Place your stop limit order just under that 170 level to just protect your profits. Then if prices come back down towards the 160 level, can consider re-entry as well. But as of right now, it still looks like prices are heading higher and could potentially head higher, especially if that $2 level gives way. Okay, so very quick one for Food Empire. Trend still looking good right now. Will continue to be on our watch list as well. All right, Z, back to you now.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering, I think it's by Pauline, right? Pauline is actually asking about Frencken, whether what is a good entry point for Frencken and is it time to buy now? And I think this stock is actually one of the stocks that I've also covered. We have also covered, I don't know, was it me, Bervyn, or Joey? We have also covered this stock, right? A couple of weeks back in our Ask Me Any Stock Singapore session. And as you can see here, right, this was one of the thing that was actually drawn, and all these levels were actually drawn back then. Okay, so let's take a look at Frencken, right, and see whether is it time to actually take a look at this stock now, or perhaps to actually monitor a bit first before thinking about taking further action. Okay, so for Frencken, if we look at the trend, right, if we look at the trend from August all the way to where we are at, the trend doesn't look that great, right? Because the blue is above the red and it's above the green, but it was only somewhere at the start of like May, right? End of May, right? Over here we actually see strength returning, whereby the 20 days moving average has broken and crossed above the longer term trend, and this actually is signs of short term strength returning, right? But in terms of the longer term trend, at least now, it has started to flatten out, right? You can see that some sort of flattening out, especially for the 100 days moving average, right? Because I remember back then, like a couple of weeks back, when some of you guys were actually asking about Frencken, right? And we were seeing at that point in time, you see all the moving averages were actually still pointing down. And the analysis back then was to potentially wait first, like don't rush into buying into a stock, because prices could dip even lower, especially when price actually break a certain support level, right? So right now, at least we are seeing some stabilization in terms of the longer term trend, whereby price have actually kind of stabilized right over here for the past couple of weeks, right? And we are seeing that it is actually holding above this $1.10 right over here, this $1.10. So the 80 cents right over here, as you can see, this was actually what we have drawn previously, and this is one of the key support level, right? If this 80 cents were to be broken, then definitely we will see more weakness returning to this counter, and this is not one of the stocks that we want to be putting into our watch list. Okay, so currently price is trading at about, I would say, 118, right? Currently about 118, and it is actually holding above this 110 support level, right? 110 support level, and we do see 1 GT bullish signal. That's a good thing, right? We do see 1 GT bullish signal, 2 consecutive bullish signal, and which is a good thing, and it's holding above $1.10, right? But the key here is that the immediate resistance that we are actually looking at, right, is about this $1.30. Why this $1.30, right? If you were to take a look back in 2024, like the past year, right, this is what actually happened. And I don't know if you guys can actually spot this thing right over here, right? So this is actually what we call a double top, right? And when prices actually break below this neckline of the double top, that it signifies that there's more weakness, and that is what we can see from the chart as well. Further confirmation with the moving averages. So I would say this 130, right, is one of the immediate resistance that we are definitely looking at. Okay, so if you are thinking about positioning yourself for entry, you could place potential alerts right over here at these zones, right, at this support zone, because price is holding above the 110, and we mentioned that 110 is the support level, right? So we are looking at the support zone, and this is where we can potentially set some price alert to notify you, right? But of course, because at this point in time, the blue line, red line, and the green line, they are not exactly heading in the same direction, right? What we want to see is something like that, right? We want to see these all three actually heading up in the same direction. By this point in time, do we actually see that? Not really, right? Not really. And plus, the red is actually not even above the blue yet. So if you're thinking about taking some small position, thinking about trading this stock, right, you can do that. But do remember to have your stop loss plan in place. So if, let's say, the potential zone of entry that you are looking at is near the support level right over here, right? One way to take note and to set your stop limit order to protect your downside is to use this trailing support function, and that would be probably somewhere right over here, right, 2 to 3%, slightly below the trailing support right over here. Okay, and also do take note that the potential upside targets that if we are looking at this point in time, it would be until the 130 level. Okay, so that would be for Frencken. Otherwise, what I am actually looking out for is for price to actually break and hold above this 130 first for a potential upside reversal with more confirmation from the longer term moving average. Okay, Pauline, that would be for Frencken, some of the levels that you can potentially take note of. Back over to you, Bervyn, to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, G. Okay, so let me see what stock to cover next. I think we need to go a little bit faster. If not, we're not able to cover some of your stocks. Let's go. I think somebody was asking about Genting Sing. Give up on Genting. I think yeah. So let me just cover Genting Sing because I think F Lim is also checking as Genting bottom. Okay. First thing first, I think yes, if you pull up the Genting Sing chart and turn on just the 1GT Pro indicator, see a lot of 1GT bearish signals coming in. But the other thing that stands out to me would be we got lower highs actually forming for Genting Sing. All right, so this is not a good sign. It is a stable downtrend. Stable downtrend is not a stable uptrend. So this is not what you want to look for in the stock that you actually want to buy. Okay, you want to actually have it the other way around. You want the 100 days moving average to be above the 200 days moving average and the 20 days moving average to be above the 100 days moving average. Right now, all three of them are pointing down, and the most recent 1GT bearish signal coming in on the 3rd of June right here. On the 4th of June right here. So symbolizing that the nearer term weakness can continue and could continue. Right. So the probability is always about probability. The probability of it being weak is much higher than the probability of it being strong at this point. Yes, seems like we can find a little bit of a support around the 68 cents level or 68 cents level, but if that level gives way, that current key support level will be around that 64 cents where prices have previously rebounded from. Okay, so that is downside that is still possible for Genting Sing. Not much signs of recovery just yet. Yes, we see a more bullish candlesticks coming back. I mean, just yesterday, but I think as of this morning, prices or a little bit of selling had come back in once again. The immediate resistance remains around that 76 cents level. So that is where actually sellers have come in multiple times, and we have 1GT bearish signal right there. Prices coming, sellers coming back in, another 1GT bearish signal coming back in. So right now, I think if you are looking to pick up some Genting Sing F Lim, I think just be a little bit more careful. I will not recommend to buy it just yet. You want to wait for at least that 20 days moving average to cross above the 100 days, 200 days moving average. You want that prices to break out of that downtrend by holding above that 76 cents level. I think there are plenty of opportunities in the other counters. So definitely not the one that I would immediately want to pick up as well. I think we can look for other opportunities. But the other way, I think we can watch out for would be the trailing resistance. The trailing resistance around the 73 cents level, close to the 74 cents level. We want to at least see prices break above that 74 cents. Then perhaps we can see a more stable 20 days moving average as well. Okay, so alerts to be set up. I think if for those of you who are holding on to some Genting Sing, I think Esther just now was also holding on to some Genting Sing. You want to be a bit more careful. So a stop limit or a stop limit order placed below that 67 cents. You try to cut those profit, preserve some of those capital. I know it can be quite hard because if you are holding on for a while already, you're sitting on quite a bit of losses. Yeah, but I think there's a little bit of opportunity cost, free up the capital for something else could be good as well. All right, so if there's 76 cents level gives way, let me just do a little bit of a projection right here. Just bring it up. The upside towards the 84 to maybe about 85 cents level. Yeah, we was previously close to a resistance as well. Could be possible. So an alert plays above 76 cents. Let yourself know that yes, potentially we could be out of that downtrend. Would be great as well. All right, so there's a very quick one for Genting Sing. Passing the time back to Z now.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be CityDev, right? Because I saw a couple of you guys asking about CityDev, Selston asking CityDev hold. So I'm assuming you're actually holding on to some CityDev position. And Catherine, right, also asking about CityDev. So let's take a look at CityDev, right? If I were to ask you guys, hey, you know, what is the trend of this stock? What will you guys let me know? Let me know in the chat. Do you think is what are your thoughts for the trend? Uptrend, uptrend, downtrend, sideways? What do you guys think? Maybe to make it a bit more interactive for you guys as well. What do you guys think about the trend for CityDev? Can let me know in the chat. Uptrend, downtrend, sideways.
It looks like down until recently.
Yep, down until recently. Anybody else? Downtrend. Jimmy thinks it's a downtrend. Jared reversal. Miffy down. Okay, down. Generally, I would say, right, the longer term trend, it is still down, right? We don't have to dispute this because we see, you know, the blue line and the red line has been going down. And right now, if I were to zoom in a little bit, right, we are seeing that, you know, the red and the blue line, it is still kind of going down, right? It's not exactly like going flat like this, right? It's not actually going like that at this point in time, right? But we do see, like what Bobby mentioned, we do see some short-term strength returning, whereby we are seeing some strength in terms of the 20 days moving average, right? It's starting to point up, but has it broken or crossed above the longer term moving average yet? If I were to zoom in, it has not, right? It has not. It is attempting to, but it has not. But we do get to see 1 GT bullish signal coming out, right? One on this day, 22nd April, and the second one very recently on the 5th of June. So we do see 1 GT bullish signal coming out. But overall, longer term trend, it is still down, right? Longer term trend is still down. And one of the key resistance that we are looking at right now is this $5.40, right? This $5.40, I would say, is one of the key resistance, right? Whereby I want to see, right? Because you guys, I think Jared just now was saying a potential reversal. I would say a potential reversal if prices can break and hold above the 540, whereby there are also signs of the red and the blue line, right? Have some signs of it, you know, at least starting to point up, right? Rather than, you know, going sideways or continue going down. If he has some signs of it like going to point up, right, for the red and the blue line, and prices can break and hold above the 540, then I would say yes, potentially there could be an uptrend reversal. But at this point in time, not yet, because the longer term trend still doesn't have any signs of it, you know, going back up at this point in time. But we do see a short-term strength, right? It doesn't mean that, you know, longer term downtrend, we cannot see strength coming back. We can still see strength coming back, and that is what is actually happening right now. But 540, I would say 540 is the level that I want to take note, and perhaps I also want to set some price alerts, right? If prices can break above 540, the next level that we are looking at would be the $6 psychological level right over here. As you can see, previously it was also a resistance, and right over here, right, this very long candlestick, right, even though it's green, but it's a very, very bearish candlestick, right, because of the long upper shadow, especially when it is near the resistance like this. Okay, so for CityDev, right, for those of you who are thinking about entering at this point in time, I would say don't have to rush, right? Don't have to rush. Can continue to monitor first, and especially I do want to set, you know, signals, price alert. I want to set price alert, right? Especially when it break above this 540 right over here. And that's okay. Maybe let me just do it very quickly right now, right? Right click, set alert, and I want to set a price alert, right? Maybe I want it to hold above 545, right? Every time. Great. So here it has just created an alert for me at 545, right? If prices actually break and hold above this 545, you know, and every time it's hit the 545, it will actually alert me. And the other alerts, right, that I want to set over here would be the signals, right? The buy alert, especially the buy alert, right? once per bar, great. So if prices can break and hold above this 540, then potentially we might see a uptrend reversal, especially if the 100 days and the 200 days moving average are showing signs of it starting to point up. So at this point in time, I would not rush into CityDev yet. I would not rush into CityDev yet, and it will be perhaps a counter for me to further monitor if the 540 level has been breached. Okay, so that would be for CityDev. I'll pass the time back to Bervyn to cover a next stock.
Thanks, Z. I just want to point out something for CityDev as well. I think Andy brought up a very good point. CityDev has been undergoing what we call asset disposal or capital recycling. So in a phase like this, just a little bit of a background. When a company goes through a capital recycling or asset disposal, cash on books usually tend to go up. All right. So that could be a sign that it's either CityDev is intending to give back this money to your shareholders like yourself, all right, if through dividends, or they have a new project they are intending to pick up. But the good thing is always with asset disposal for development companies like this, they tend to end up with lower gearing ratios. So it means they tend to have lesser debt because they use these assets cash, or they are freeing up some liabilities from these assets as well. All right, so just a good point, something to take note of as well for city development. I think Z brought a few good points, a few reversals. A reversal could be in play, but we are still early on in the phase. All right, okay, so I think what's the next stop I want to actually cover? Oh, back to Andy. Andy says, Boustead, please, please. All right, Andy, thanks for joining us every week. Let me just pull up Boustead for you right here. All right, so right here we have Boustead. Oh, very good. We have immediately pops out to me a 1 GT bullish signal that had actually came out when prices broke above that $1.10 resistance level after pretty much being kept under it since the start of this year. Came close once, didn't manage to break above it, and then started to sell down alongside the rest of the market. Then most recently, I think in May, it had actually, end of May, actually broke above this $1.10 level. So I think this 110 level, definitely I'll place it as a support right now. Prices are inching towards that $1.20 level. All right, $1.20 level, and we are pushing higher as of today. So I think the immediate previous support was about that $1 level, that $1 psychological level, with prices testing the immediate $1.20 resistance. So I think if prices are able to definitely break above this 120 level, I'm not too sure whether is it today, after lunch, it will already break above that 120 level, but if it gives way and forms a new support. But I wouldn't say that this support is a really strong one, Andy. Why? It's because you don't see much of a consolidation within this space before prices break above this level. So definitely, if you are sitting on some profits and you want to just turn on that trailing support and resistance, place your stop limit orders following this trailing support, like I said. I think countless times throughout this AMAS, we want to use this trailing support to our advantage, right? You want to have to use these tools to our advantage to make sure that when we are sitting on profits, it don't turn into losses because we don't do anything about it. All right. So we want that trailing support to continue to move up along with prices. And if that 120 level gives way, definitely we'll see that trailing support move up, and then your stop limit orders got to move up at the same time. All right, so if we are able to see that $1.10, or if prices arrive back at that $1.10 level, for those who are looking to accumulate, I think potentially Boustead is in a good position for accumulation if we arrive close to that 110 level as well. Okay, so longer term trend still looking good so far. We see that 100 days, 200 days moving average just pointing up. 20 days moving average definitely pointing up as well. So very quick one for Boustead, still looking good so far. Just Andy, just take note of those key levels. All right. Okay, back to you, Z.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think now we are at the Boustead. Boustead is 15 stock, right? If I'm not wrong, Bervyn. I think it should be the 15 stock. So the next one that I'll be covering will be SIA, right? Because I was just looking at the chat. I think the most recent one by Wilson, right, is asking about SIA, right? SIA. So I think this would be the 16th stock. Okay, so let's take a look at SIA. Let me just clear this because this was one of the stock that we have also talked about recently, right, with some of our clients. Okay, so when we take a look at SIA, right, did it find support above $7? I would say, to answer Wilson's question, yes. Price for SIA, right, it has broken above this $7, right, and it is actually still holding above the $7. And as you can see right over here, I have also drawn the support, the psychological support at this $7 mark, right? And the trend, right? If we look at the trend, it has show signs of it, pointing up in terms of the short term as well as the longer term, right? As well as the longer term, because we can see all three of them, right? Short term, I don't have to say is really pointing up quite steadily, right? But the longer term, it has sloped up gently and it is starting to slope up even more, right? And that shows, the short term and the longer term trend actually align in the same direction. And especially so that price has been holding above $7, right? And because this $7, right, back in, when was this? Back in 2023, this was one of the level. It was an all-time high, right? And subsequently, 2023, it came all the way down, and it has just been trading up and down within these $5.40 and $7 range, right? And only until very recently, it has broken and hold above these $7. So I would say $7 is really a very crucial level for SIA to be holding above, right? It must be holding above for it to have further potential upside, right, towards, I think, the level that we have, our team have actually drawn is about 750 right over here. And right now, with two 1GT bullish signal, right, there isn't still, there isn't any 1GT bearish signal yet. So as long as I would say price is holding above $7, it is still looking pretty decent, right? And in terms of those of you who are thinking about entering a position, same thing. Near a support level, right? Somewhere near the support level, right over here, this is where you can think of accumulation on the dips, all right? And potential upside targets that we are looking at is towards 750. Okay, so this would be for SIA. I'll pass the time back over to Bervyn to cover the next one.
Thanks, Z. Okay, so I think I want to cover, let me just see. Okay, so I think we are on our 17th stock. Okay, how about we go through for another maybe two rounds like that. Then after that, we will go through our bonus stock. I'm so sorry, everyone, because we're running out of time also. So if you are not able to cover your stock, we really apologize for that, because there's really too many stocks in the chat already. So we'll just try to cover as much as possible lah. Okay, so here we go. I think Patrick, I think he's accumulating some Thai beverage for long term since they're paying pretty decent dividends. Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's look at Thai beverage. Right. Okay. So Patrick, here we have Thai beverage. Yes, they have been paying stable dividends. Let me just check what is the dividend yield as of now. Let me just see more information. You can actually just take a look at the dividend payout history right here. Yield is about 3%, holding stable. 4.5, 3.97, 4.5 in 2024. Okay, so Patrick, yes, you are right. They are paying pretty decent dividends. But what's worrying to me is, although yes, they are paying good dividends, but prices are actually heading lower. So does the dividend yield actually, make up for your capital loss is the question. So the last thing we want is, we constantly have income, but then your capital start to depreciate at the same time. Okay, so that's a worrying point. So you just have to watch out for something like this. We want a stable dividend, and of course, the prices to remain stable at the same time. Of course, good if it can go up, but if it cannot go up, you want it to at least remain stable, not just going lower and lower and lower, because that will ultimately mean, can the dividend be sustainable or not? Yeah. So just to take note from here, I think I see one GT bearish signal, one GT bearish signal that is actually appearing for Thai beverage. I think when did it show up? On the 19th of May, as the 20 days moving average have started to point down that 100 days moving average crossing below that 200 days moving average, already starting to point down. That 200 days moving average rather flat right now. I would say maybe flat, maybe pointing up a little bit. If it points down as well, okay, if it points down as well, then it's not a good sign already. The current support, I would say, for Thai Beverage would be around that 42 to 43 cents level, where previously it had rebounded from. So we still have a little bit of way to go to that support. We are right in between that support of 42 cents and right about and that 50 cents level. Okay, so we are in a little bit of a no man's land, so definitely not a place to be buying alongside with that weakness that we see based on the moving averages. Definitely not something we want to accumulate. Okay, definitely not something we want to accumulate at this point of time. Maybe perhaps if we are able to see prices stabilize for a little bit, consolidate, continue to consolidate, and then start to push upwards, and brand breaking above that 50 cents level, yes, then I think, yep, maybe I can say that the trend has stabilized again. The 50 cents level has become a support once more, and he being able to head towards that 56 cents level. Right, the 56 cents level, which was the previous resistance. Yeah, then I think the moving averages will definitely show, and then we will have, or we may potentially have a 1 GT bullish signal coming in as well. So maybe that's when it will be better to accumulate. All right. So we got that trailing resistance because currently we have a 1 GT bearish signal still present. So a potential break above, like I said, that 50 cents level, very close to that trailing resistance, would definitely show up. We'll definitely get a 1 GT bullish signal. Okay, so I think for now, I think Patrick maybe set up some alerts. You don't want to be a little bit you don't want to be a bit caught off guard lah if prices break below that 42 cents. So alert below 42 cents definitely is one that you need to place. And then an alert if prices break above that 50 cents level to show the stabilization of trend. That's the other alert I definitely want to set up for. All right, so passing the time back to Z now.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, let me just quickly share my screen over here. Okay, so I think I'm going to cover Pacific Century, right, by Jared. Jared is asking about Pacific Century, whether is it time to enter now. Actually, to be honest, I don't really know what this stock is about, and I never really looked into this stock, okay? But when I just look at it, right, wow, the uptrend reversal is playing out pretty nicely, and it's pretty beautiful, right, in terms of the trend itself. You just look at the moving averages. So I think for this stock, right, if we take a look at what's actually happening, right, this is the confirmation, right? Just now when previously we are talking about, whether how do we actually spot, a potential reversal, right? This is what we are actually looking for, right? I think this would be a very classic textbook example of what we are looking for in terms of a reversal, right? When the 100 days actually cross above the 200 days, price actually break above the resistance, right? And we also get a 1 GT bullish signal. So this is a classic textbook reversal that we are actually looking out for, and these are some of the signs or some of the things that we are looking out for, especially for stocks that you think potentially might have a reversal. These are what we want to look out for. Okay, and in terms of we zoom in into the counter, right, what is actually happening now? I think price right now, I think it's at the 40 cents level, right? This uptrend has been playing out, since May. The moving averages, all three of them has also been heating up, right? And right now price is trading at 40 cents, which I think 40 cents, right, is actually one of the psychological level to actually take note as well, right? 40 cents will be, I would say, will be the psychological level, and the support, right, I would say definitely will be at the 36 cents, because if I were to zoom back out, right, back towards this area right over here, somewhere in 2022 September, this was where, it was a high, right? And this was where prices was unable to break above, and we do get a 1 GT bearish signal coming out, and then prices went all the way down, right? It was only back in 2025 at the start of the year, February. This was where prices actually retested, right? Attempted to retest this 36 level, which was actually a resistance, and ultimately, yes, it did break above it in April, and right now it is actually still holding above it firmly over the past 2 to 3 weeks, right? And it seems like prices is testing the 40 cents. Why I would say 40 cents is a resistance level? Number one is a psychological level. And number two, what we are looking at, if I were to actually do this like very simple projection like this, right, it's very close to these 40 cents as well already, right, based on the range. So I would say if prices, because right now it's at 40 cents, right, I don't know whether it can break and hold above this 40 cents. So right now it's testing the resistance. And if you're thinking about entering, we don't want to enter near a resistance, right? We want to enter near a support level. So in terms of support level, definitely I would say right over here, right, this 36 cents, this would be one of the support level, very clearly support zone. And the next level, if prices is actually able to break and hold above, we do the same projection up. The next target that we are looking at will be around this 44 level, right? And if prices can break and hold above this 40 cents, would this 40 cents turn from a resistance to become a support? Yes, it will then turn from a red to a green, right? And that's where we can potentially position ourselves for entry. Same concept right over here, right? Copy and paste, and this is where the next level that we are potentially thinking about entering as well. Provided that prices can break and hold above these 40 cents. I'm not saying that today, if it break 40 cents really, immediately tomorrow enter a position. No, we still have to see whether can it hold above it. You know, especially so when we are witnessing some price action like this, right? When prices has indeed break and hold above this 36 level. Okay, so right now, 1GT bullish signal has appeared right over here in December. It's still playing out. No exits yet. So I think this stock is pretty decent. I think I will also definitely be adding into our watch list and continue to monitor this stock because the uptrend indeed does look pretty firm and intact at this point in time. Okay, so I'll pass the time back over to Bervyn to actually cover the next stock.
Okay, let's see. I think VJ right here asking AEM can buy now. Okay, AEM can buy now or not lah. Okay, let's just take a look at AEM right here. I think AEM sometime in COVID, it was one of the best performing stocks, but ever since then, you know, it's shown weakness. Prices have actually headed lower and lower and lower. I think, but most recently, I think why VJ this stock has came back to your watch list is because it has rebounded from that $1 psychological level, broke above that 120 level, above that 120 level. So let me turn off my trailing support first. We see that there is indeed a little bit of a near-term strength. All right, near-term strength definitely present. Cannot lie to ourselves. We surely see that the 20 days moving average is pointing up. But what is concerning is that we still have that 100 days, 200 days moving averages, the 100 days pointing down, that 200 days a bit flat, all right, and that 20 days moving average still below that 100 and 200 days moving average. Definitely, we are in early signs, or we have early signs of a trend reversal, but no further confirmation just yet. All right, so the I would say can be placed up to that 140 level first. 140 level first. I think it's okay to buy a little bit more expensive. VJ is a little bit more expensive is fine, but what you want to see is more confirmation, because right now we only have maybe two confirmations. One, we got a 1GT bullish signal. Two, we have that 20 days moving average pointing up, but we don't want to trade against the longer term trend, right? We don't want to, you know, go against the flow of the waves lah. Okay, so we want to see if prices are able to head towards that 140 level first. I think definitely if prices are able to hit above that 140 level, that 20 days moving average would definitely cross above that 100 days, 200 days moving average, and we will definitely see that 100 days, 200 days moving average start to flatten out and then perhaps even point up. All right, then that is when, yes, I will agree with you that an uptrend reversal could be in play. All right, could be in play. But as of right now, I would say it's a little bit too early. The last thing we want is for you to get in, and then the prices break that 120 level again, hit towards that $1 level. Then you got to stop your losses lah. So it's a little bit more on the risky side right now. I think a little bit more conviction for it will be if prices are above that 140 level as of now. All right, just a very quick one for, I would say, AEM. Okay, passing the time back to Z to maybe cover the last stock before we start on our bonus stock.
Okay, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think I'll be covering the last stock right now, and then we'll move on to our bonus stock because I think we have overrun a bit by a little today. So, okay, so I've shared my screen, and the last stock that I'll be covering today, I think will be Hongkong Land, because I think I saw a couple of comments about Hongkong Land, right? Elong is actually asking about Hongkong Land, and Prafu is also actually asking about Hongkong Land, right? So, Hongkong Land, I think this one pretty simple in terms of the trend, right? Because we are seeing definitely uptrend being intact, right? especially so when the upside reversal for this particular stock happens somewhere in July, right? In July, and we are seeing 1GT bullish signal. Price went all the way up, tested the $5, right? Tested the $5 resistance, came back down. $4, I would say, would be one of the key support level right over here, right? Because this is where we witness buying pressure actually returning right over here and right over here. And very recently, we do see a 1GT bullish signal coming out on the, which day is it? 25th of April, right? And subsequently, the couple of weeks, 1 to 2 weeks later, price actually broke and hold above this $5. Right now, it is trading at about $5.43, right? $5.43. And in terms of potential zone of entries that we are looking at, it will be near the support level. Same thing right over here, near the $5, right? Near the $5. And in terms of resistance, if you guys have already know what I'm going to say, right? It's gonna be a projection, right? It's gonna be a projection from this $4 to $5 upwards, right? So it's actually a $1 range, I would say, to the next target that we are looking at, which is at this $6 level right over here. And definitely this could also be a potential zone to think about taking some profits as well. So potential zone of entry and potential zone of taking profits. So this, I would say, this is quite straightforward, right, in terms of the levels. So $4 is one of the key levels. Immediate support at $5, and the next target level that we are looking at would be the $6 mark. All three moving averages are still heading up, and we do have a 1GT bullish signal right over here with no exits yet. Okay, so that would sum up Hongkong Land very, very quickly in terms of some of the levels that you should be taking note of. And now I think it's time for our bonus stock, right? So I'll pass the time back to Bervyn to actually kickstart our bonus stock for today.
Thanks, Z. All right, so we covered a total of 20 stocks, but let us now cover that the stock that we actually like, the team likes, and the stock that we still feel that you should place on your watch list. So if some of you are asking some of the stocks, if we didn't cover it, apologies. But maybe just give us maybe another 10 more minutes to just go through our bonus stock. All right. Okay. So my bonus stock for this week, I think if some of you could have guessed already, it would remain the same as Sembcorp Industry. All right, so let me throw up on the screen Sembcorp Industry right here. Why? It's because this has came to my attention yesterday. Right, yesterday. As of 2 weeks ago, I think we were just slightly above that 650 level, and then as of today, we have started to push or attempted to push a bit higher before the lunch at the SGX lunch break lah. Okay, so we have a 1GT bullish signal that have actually shown up just yesterday as prices try to push towards that $7 resistance level once again. So for those of you who have gotten in previously, I think it is time to log in, check on your stop limits order. You want to maybe start shifting your stop limit order, maybe starting next week onwards, to just protect some of those profits that you have already started to sit on at the same time. So for some of you who are, I think past few days, somebody has been asking me, is it okay to take some profits if prices approach that $7 level? Yes, definitely okay. Why? If you have bought close to that 560 level and held up to today, I think you'll be sitting on a very respectable close to 20% profits already. 20% profit. So for some, that is a reasonable target. I would say that is a very prudent target as well. Not wanting to ride any more further of the upside is fine as well. Nothing wrong there. But if you are intending, some of you who have already previously bought and then you are intending to actually continue to ride the next levels, I would say the projection up to 750 right now is one of those levels that you actually want to watch out for, because definitely you can see that just zooming in back out, it is a all-time high for Sembcorp Industry, and it looks like buyers are starting to come back in, or buyers are starting to respect that 650 level, coming in to accumulate on those dips as prices approach that 650 level. So for those of you who want to build on a bigger position, like Z had mentioned just now as well, two ways you could do it. You could accumulate close to that 650 level, or you could just wait a little bit more, get a little bit more confirmation right on that new uptrend or that new up phase if that $7 level gives way. So I think if more bullish signals come out, we got 1, 2, 3 still valid right now. Maybe perhaps if that $7 level is broken, can get another 1 GT bullish signal just showing up right there, and then the upside to that 750 is still a very valid target as of now. The downside, I think, towards you could find a temporary support right around the 620 level. With that 650 level gives way, but definitely hope that prices don't hit down towards the level unless there is bad news in the company, any change in environment. But as of right now, still looking good. I think it's still one of the counters we are actually still putting on our watch list, and I still feel that you should have this counter on your watch list to at least monitor and set some alerts for, okay, in the near term. All right, so now pass the time back to Z to cover her bonus stock and of course that last stock for today before she wraps up for you guys.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so I think some of you would have also already guessed, especially so for those of you who have been attending our past live session, right? So today my bonus stock would be the same, which is ST Engineering, right? Because we are bringing it back because the trend is actually working lah, and we don't want to argue with the trend, right? Because it is definitely still showing strong momentum, and in this market, right, consistency is king lah, right? Because as you know, sometimes the market is so volatile with all the Trump news and things like that. Consistency is king, and when the trend is actually working, we don't want to fight with it. Okay, so for ST Engineering, right now, right, it is currently testing the $8 psychological resistance as what we have actually drawn here. And over the past couple of months, I think we have first started covered this stock as our bonus stock, right? We review it as a bonus stock somewhere in February, and right now, price has went all the way up, about close to 73% already, right? And it is still playing out, right? The 1 GT bullish signal is actually still playing out. And as you can see, prices have consistently, all these green lines right over here, it was previously a resistance, right, that we have drawn, and prices has consistently been breaking the resistance, turning them into what we call support. So as we can see that prices is actually forming higher lows and consistently breaking resistance, forming new support. That is also a good sign of strength. Plus, it actually complements with the moving averages in terms of the trend, right? All three moving averages, I don't have to talk about it, right? It is all heading up. And right now, price is testing the $8. So I think just now I saw one comment, right, by Ian. Ian is actually asking about ST Engineering going forward. Is it time to accumulate or take some profits versus my cost at 170? What, 170? Your cost at 170, that is probably you bought very long ago. If it's 170, I would say, 170. Sorry, let me just do a quick 170 to where we are now. That's about almost the 365%. Oh my god, that's a 365%. So I would say for Ian, right? For Ian, if let's say you do want to actually take some profits near the psychological $8, it is also fine, right? Because you are already sitting on about 365% profits, right? There's nothing wrong to take some partial profits, especially at the $8 mark, right? And for those of you who are actually thinking about positioning yourself for entry, one of the levels that we can potentially look at, right, would be right over here, right over here near the 750, which is the immediate support level, right? The support level that previously it was a resistance back here in May, it has broken above, and this is the 750 support zone that we are actually looking at. And for Ian as well, just sharing, right? The thing is that if you're actually holding on to a stock, right, sometimes you don't have to just think about one side, which is you don't just have to think about, hey, should I actually take some profits, right? Because your question, you were also asking whether is it time to actually accumulate. So yes, to answer your question, sometimes for stocks, right, you can also accumulate on the dips near the support level, especially if the uptrend is still relatively strong. And in this case, for ST Engineering, yes, the uptrend is definitely still intact. So if prices were to actually retrace back to the support level, right, this is where you can also potentially accumulate more exposure, increase your exposure on the dips near the support zone, right? Especially so if we see right over here, right, this price on the day, if prices, some of you guys might have also gotten in right over here near the $7 psychological support. Congrats, right? You will probably also be sitting on some profits, right? So we want to get in near the support zone. So 750 would be one, right? The next potential zone, right, that we are actually looking at to, position ourselves for entry would be where? Would be here, right? The $8. This is provided that prices can break and hold above the $8 level, right? The $8 level, and this would be considered a breakout strategy. So whenever we talk about breakout strategy, it's definitely much more aggressive, right? So with that, you do need to have your stop loss plan in place, right? You do need to have your stop loss plan in place. For short-term trading, perhaps if let's say your risk appetite is slightly smaller, you can slightly place below the $8 psychological level. Otherwise, the other way that we can actually make use of this 1GT Pro indicator is to use the trailing support and resistance function, and we can use it as a guide to actually place your stop limit order right over here. So back to Ian, if you are thinking to actually continue to ride the uptrend and maximize your profit using this 1GT Pro indicator with the trailing support function, this is where you can continue to shift your stop limit order upward, especially so when the price continues to head up, to actually maximize your profits and to protect your capital. And yeah, probably your capital has long been protected because now it's sitting on 300% profits, right? But yes, it is to maximize your profits by raising the stop limit order upwards. Okay, so the next upside target, right, that we are looking at will be 850. And why is it this 850? Simple, we actually do the projection upward as well, right over here, right? So 850 is the next target level that we are looking at if prices can break and hold above this $8 level. Okay, so this will be ST Engineering is definitely still pretty strong and is definitely still on our watch list as well. And if you guys actually do like this stock, you can also add in your watch list and just take note of some of the levels that we have just mentioned earlier on. All right, so this would be for ST Engineering, and I think we have come to a close for today's session. So I hope Bervyn and myself have actually added some value to you guys. And if you have added some value, just let us know in the chat, right? Just type a V in the chat to let us acknowledge you guys. And thank you so much for spending your Friday morning with us, right? For I think the past 2.5 hours. To listen to us and to cover some of the stocks that you guys are actually interested in. Okay, so but not to worry, next week Joey will actually be back already, right? So we have 3 of us, and Joey will be back, and we will be covering the US stock next week. So today, I think in total we cover about 20 stocks, right? 20 stocks, not too bad. So next week, perhaps maybe with Joey, we can actually try again, right? We can try again, and we will try to cover as many stocks as possible. All right. So with that, I think we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of your time today, and I think that is me and Bervyn. We'll be signing off for now. All right. Have a great weekend, guys, everybody. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye.